nature consciousness will help with our political angst. And by the political angst, I mean that feeling that things are falling apart, that our society structures are disintegrating, worries that war is going to break out everywhere around us. That is a big and real worry. This craziness is caused by mass unconsciousness. So if that's true, mass awakening will help, right? So how do we step out of the angst that's being caused by all this unrest and actually become a part of a sustainable way for human beings to live on the earth? That's what I mean by nature consciousness. We need to step out of our divided mind, out of our feeling of division with the earth and with each other, and step into a consciousness that includes everything. That consciousness will include earth consciousness because we are actually inside earth consciousness. We're not outside looking at it. This is what non-duality has to teach us, that there are not two things happening. It is a process to start accessing earth consciousness. You can't go to university and learn it. You can't learn it through a book. You can't put the riddle of science together and hope to get there. And I'm not talking about some lame belief like Earth is our mother. I'm not talking about chanting a few chants and trying to feel better about how we are. I'm not talking about believing in anything. I'm not talking about believing in Mother Earth. I'm talking about deep, deep, total unity with the all of existence so you can start seeing and listening to this. What I did was I learned to listen. And to really, really deeply listen requires going very, very still for a long period of time. I moved out into nature, but you can do that anywhere. It's just a matter of regular moments of pausing and listening. Meditation really is just listening deeply. We've kind of turned that meditation into like a goal thing where we're trying to gain mindfulness or we're trying to gain enlightenment. But really, it's a moment to simply listen, to learn to listen. Because language goes too fast through our heads. Have you ever feel that churn, 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 churn? It goes too fast. And so you got to slow that baby down and get to where you can listen. And when you listen, what do you hear? You hear earth consciousness itself. And you actually are earth consciousness listening to earth consciousness. I heard a recent comment lately that really struck me. It was from a Native American guy who was talking about the political climate today. And he said, we aren't so worried because we have already survived the apocalypse. Interesting, right? European society came over and wiped out an amazingly vibrant society that lived here in what we call now the United States, Turtle Island. So they've already survived the apocalypse, and it wasn't nice. But think, whatever your ethnicity is, you have also survived the apocalypse. It might be so far back in your generational history that you wouldn't even call it that. Like many of us who come from Europe England, Ireland, places like that, were conquered several centuries ago. We don't really remember it, but every single one of us has ancestors that was living a free, indigenous life and got conquered by civilization of some kind. Probably the easiest thing to think about is the Roman world, the Romans, sweeping through the entire indigenous world of Europe and conquering it and bringing civilization, what we call civilization. We have been groping with the ramifications of that for a long, long time. And the ramifications have been very political, what we would call political now. Mass poverty, wars, huge diseases sweeping through overpopulated communities. It's been very, very bad. And we have been taught that if we're just passive and sit around and hope that everything will come out okay, that everything will come out okay. Stated differently, if we just pray that everything will come out okay, everything will come out okay. So we have been taught to not stand up and take assessment of our own selves and take strength in our own selves and be fully awake people. We have been taught that being fully awake people is not even possible. And then recently we had a meeting of what we'll call the East and the West, where the West was spiritual, Western spiritual thought met Eastern spiritual thought. And a lot of good has come out of that, but a lot of bad too, because all of Eastern thought is based on the fact that you are not enlightened. All of Western thought is based on the fact that you are not in heaven. You can't get there till you die, and you got to be good to get there. Eastern thought, you're not enlightened. You have to have lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of perfectness in order to get there. Both of these spiritual philosophies are based on a separation with nature itself, based on the idea that human nature itself is not possible of integrated wholeness. So when you start looking at it that way, it's like, well, no wonder we're so crazy. We start out with a very, very skewed idea of who we are and who everyone else is, and then we spend a whole lot of time trying to not feel so desperately horrible, to not feel the angst that that kind of separation and fundamental lie causes in us. Okay, let's look at it from the other way around. If we are not separate, and if we are conscious, that means that everything is conscious. We are consciousness inside of consciousness. I am not a conscious being inside an inanimate world. That's kind of not possible, particularly from the viewpoint of non-duality, that everything is one, everything is like a united, interrelated whole. How could I be interrelated with a world that is not conscious if I am conscious? How can I be alive inside a universe that is not itself alive? If that was true, there would have to be a place where my aliveness stops and unaliveness starts. It's simple when you look at it that way, right? You have this spark inside you, and it doesn't matter if you spent years meditating to find it, or if you just stop right this second and notice it. There it is, right there. There's this spark inside, and that spark could be called consciousness. It is something that knows itself. Now spread that knowing of yourself to everything around you, the walls of your house, the trees outside, the grass outside, the air, the water you drank today. Spread it to everything. Everything is alive and everything is conscious. The apocalypse was when we started being told that we are a separate thing inside this world, which made us have to be a separate thing inside a dead world. Nature consciousness simply opens us up to noticing how alive the world is, how alive the earth is, how alive the entire universe is. Just think about how alive soil is. Tree roots grow down inside it and communicate with each other. Water flows around and through it and rains down on top of it. Trees then breathe out air. Animals like you and me, we breathe in air, and we share that. Breath in, breath out. You're sharing. Everything we do is in relationship with everything else that is alive. As long as we're trying to fix our political systems using a consciousness that is not fully integrated, we're going to just create more political systems that don't work. The natural human being is what we need to discover. The natural human being knows how to integrate with our surroundings, to integrate with each other. We know how to get along. That is our nature. War isn't our nature. Destruction is not our nature. Meanness is not our nature. Our nature is cooperation and love and harmony. We don't have to force these things to come up. We don't have to do a workshop about love. We all know how to do it. We've done it since the day we were born. Human beings are a fabulous integration with all of reality. We're strong. We're capable. We can come together in totally new ways, in ways that work consciously and harmoniously with everything around us. But we need to let this nature consciousness grow and bubble up inside of us. Stop for a second and just feel nature inside of you. Nature isn't something outside of you. It's something that's in and out and around and through, and we are 100% involved with it. We're in relation with everything that exists. We have already survived the apocalypse. We are in a position now to start putting societies and groups of people together in ways that really, really work harmoniously with the earth. The fact that political things are falling apart is not a surprise. Political stuff has been falling apart ever since civilization was invented. Let's start rebuilding it back consciously instead of just flailing at it unconsciously. So let your angst dissolve into a new reality. We can create harmony because that is our nature. I have no idea how it's going to actually happen. All I know is that everyone needs to be fully awake as a human being inside of this earth consciousness in order to start the process.